Alrighty, it's been over 90 days since I got my first P1P from Bambu Labs. How's the experience been? And did I buy any more printers, and have I had any problems? We're going to be talking about all of that in today's video. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo, and today let's talk about my experience having used Bambu Labs for over 90 days. So I run a 3D print store, which requires me to fulfill orders and to ship things just about as quick as I possibly can. Now, previous to using the Bambu Labs printers, I used artillery machines because they had the best build volume, they were pretty consistent, and they were easy to set up. I've since started to migrate most of my print farm over to Bambu Labs. Now, I started out with one P1P, which is this right here, ended up buying a second one. Then I bought a third P1P, and then yes, I even bought a Bambu Labs X1. So far, the experience with all of these machines have been pretty fantastic. 4 out of 4 machines, I have had no issues or haven't had to do any repairs on any of these machines, which is pretty awesome. I want to go ahead and knock on wood because hopefully I don't have those issues. Now, it's $699. This is an absolute steal. It's even more of a steal because I've been able to print things so quickly. One of the most common questions I have been asked on my previous Bambu Labs video is, how does the P1P do for TPU? Well, right here, I am printing TPU. I am doing 6 of my strap-its, and I am printing this out of what we call Hatchbox TPU. This is sort of like a purplish blue color. It's a really nice color. And so far, printing 6 of these, it's going to take roughly about 7 hours for 6. Now, for context, when I used to print these with my artillery machine, it would take roughly 2 hours for one of these because that's just how slow you had to go. Now, something to consider when you are printing TPU is that you do need to print things a little bit hotter in order to make things go a bit faster. So right now we're printing at build plate temp of 45 Celsius, and anywhere from 239 to 245 is the temperature. Now that's going to allow us to move faster. It's also going to prevent stringing, and we have the retraction set for this particular TPU at 2.8. So that really helps with removing any sort of stringing. So again, TPU is going to vary depending on your settings, but overall, it's printing absolutely fantastic. Let's go over to this machine where we have the AMS. Now the AMS, I bought this because we thought we wanted to do a lot more multicolor prints, but I really don't do a lot of multicolor prints. Most of my prints that I do make are very utilitarian. They serve a purpose, and most of them are a solid color. However, there are a select number of prints that I do offer that do need some multicolored parts, this being one of them. So this is sort of a unique thing here. What we have here is our slick stick mount, and essentially it's printed in 2 pieces. We have our inlay, which is going to go inside of the slick stick mount, which is going to be for the logo. We have a little cutout that will just sort of pop into, and it's going to do it with a nice firm snap. Now, I could have printed these with one single print, basically embedding the logo into the print using the AMS, but because of the angle it's on, I don't think it would have printed as clean. So we ended up opting to go 2 pieces. Not only is this going to be faster, but it allows us to change up the logo color if we need to change that logo color. But because of that, I just really don't think I need another AMS. I think one AMS has been more than sufficient for the type of prints that I have been doing. The other thing that's a bit of a bummer when it comes to the AMS is the fact that it doesn't allow you to do multicolor TPU, which I think is probably one of the biggest drawbacks to the AMS, because a lot of people love multicolor TPU prints in the drone industry, and I'm just not able to deliver them to them with the AMS. So that would be my only reservation. If you want to do softer materials, then the AMS may not be for you. But if you're going to do like harder PETG, ASA, PLA prints, then an AMS is absolutely fantastic. Now, I've been running the hell out of this AMS, and I haven't had any issues with this either. I've had one minor jam, but I was able to get it cleaned out without having to take the whole thing apart. Now, I have had some problems with my partner's AMS, and he did have to go ahead and take it apart, but luckily enough, it's pretty easy to operate on, and most people shouldn't have too many problems fixing that from a mechanical standpoint. But both of these original P1Ps are doing absolutely awesome. No issues. Let's go over to the new P1P. So this is the latest P1P. And yeah, no problems. I bought this one about a month and a half ago, and I've been running it pretty much every single day. Haven't had any problems. This one as well is also printing TPU. Right now we're printing some Avada ducts. Printing out of a new material. This is a flat black TPU from Duramic. It prints super clean, and you can see there is no stringing happening anywhere on this build plate. So print's going down nice and smooth. Basically, when it comes to TPU, we're printing as fast as we possibly can. Again, build plate at 45 degrees Celsius, printing at 240 degrees Celsius for TPU. Now, just let that sink in for a moment. TPU printed at 240 degrees Celsius is pretty damn nuts. But that's something you have to consider when you're thinking about buying a Bambu. You have to change your mindset of how you would print materials that you used to print on the older legacy printers. Now, for the artilleries, I would never dream of printing at 240 degrees Celsius. It's just not moving fast enough in order to print that high of a temperature. And that's part of the reason why we're migrating away from these printers over to Bambu. All right. So, X1, let's talk about the X1. This was probably one of my better purchases. I thought the P1P was fantastic, but I honestly really underestimated having a built-in touchscreen on the printer. Having this built-in really makes the overall experience a lot more enjoyable. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to tell the printer to unload the filament, load the filament, print directly from an SD card. It's easy to navigate your files if you want to push files directly to the printer itself. It's really convenient, and I wish the P1P had an upgrade for a touchscreen maybe later on in the future. I would totally opt to buy one of those. I feel like this is just absolutely worth it in itself. Overall, another convenience factor of having the X1 is because it does have that automatic flow compensation due to the LiDAR. You don't have to manually calibrate your K values for different materials. So if you want to print PETG on the P1P, you have to calibrate your K value. On the X1, you don't have to do that. It automatically does that for you. And so far, every time I've done a print with different materials, it has gotten it right thus far. So it's been pretty much hands-free, other than slice your file, choose the correct settings, send it to the printer. It does absolutely awesome. Something else I noticed is I can send a TPU file from the P1P to the X1 without having to tell it it's going to the X1, and it does seem to print okay. I don't have any problems. So you can use the different files from the P1P on the X1 without incident, but it is always best to allow this to automatically calibrate. But thus far, it has been doing just exceptional. I have no problems. One thing that you want to keep in mind, though, on this printer is that you do need to do a little bit of maintenance. It is recommended if you're going to be printing ASA or even ABS that you clean those rails down with some like 70% alcohol. They do pick up some of the debris from the VOCs from those materials, but just wiping them down once a week has really stopped them from sticking. I did have some situations where you can see it like the rail would like stick. It wasn't as smooth, and then you'll get some buildup here on the actual glass. So you just wipe that down and everything will be fine. But the X1 has been fantastic. I haven't had any problems, haven't broken any nozzles, no belt issues, no crazy noises, no fan problems. I mean, overall, all of these printers have been doing exceptionally well. I haven't had really any problems. The only big issue still that I have with these printers is when I'm doing a really tall print. And when I mean tall, I'm talking about my mic mounts. When I'm doing these prints, when I do these prints here, it tends to go all the way to the bottom of the print bed, and then it'll grind against the gears. Now, some people have said, set something in your G code to prevent it from doing that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that on this. I haven't been able to get it to retract or go up. So I just have to remind myself to raise the build plate before I start printing. Hopefully this is something that Bambu Labs can do, is before a print starts, check where the build plate is actually located and either raise it up or raise it down so it doesn't grind against those rails. Other than that, that is the only problem I had. I did have a problem with the firmware where I was unloading on the P1P and it didn't know it unloaded and it just sort of like wigged out as far as temperature goes. It seems like Bambu Labs did correct that in a firmware update, so that's good to see. But overall, I have no complaints from any of these printers. I did order a fourth P1P. I think the P1P is the best value on 3D printing as of right now. At $699, it's really hard to compete with the value that this printer is providing. But there you go. That's my 90-day update. I'll be sure to go ahead and update this video again once I get the other P1P and when we're in the other studio and I phase out the remaining artillery printers. But so far, I really don't see too many drawbacks with these printers if you're okay with the 256 by 256 by 256 build volume. I'll see you in the next video. Stay original.